You have slept 5 hours, crossed 3 time zones, and opened your laptop in a hotel room that is quiet but unfamiliar. You approve the wrong version of a proposal. You postpone a difficult client response. Then you spend 20 minutes deciding whether breakfast should be eggs, fruit, or whatever is available downstairs. The mistake looks small. The conditions that produced it are not. The dangerous part is not simply that you feel tired. It is that the small decisions around the big decision have already spent your judgment. Welcome to Nomad Life Success. I'm Aria Reyes. Today we're breaking down the data, systems, and biological protocols behind the executive decision budget and the exact adjustments needed to protect your cognitive output on the road.
That is a very real failure pattern. People usually notice the final error, not the 40 smaller choices that came before it.
Exactly. Travel fatigue creates a hidden operating cost. You choose a meal, a workspace, a meeting response, a caffeine window, a supplement, a sleep adjustment, and a sequence for the day. Each choice may be harmless by itself, but when sleep is fragmented and your surroundings keep changing, every choice asks for more evaluation. By late afternoon, the strategic decision is competing with a pile of low-value negotiations.
And then a capable professional calls it a discipline problem.
Right. They say, I need to be tougher, when the operating environment is simply asking them to rebuild the day from zero. Sleep loss reduces reliable attention and impulse control. Stress activation keeps the system alert, but less flexible. Irregular meals can create glucose variability, which makes effort feel less predictable. Add constant context switching, and a normal task begins to feel disproportionately expensive. That is why someone can spend 10 minutes debating a low-stakes meal and then make a fast, irreversible decision in a contract review. The tired brain is not making every choice slowly. It is making some choices impulsively and others with excessive friction. The result is inconsistent judgment, not merely low energy.
So the objective is not to eliminate choice. That would be impossible, especially when you are moving between airports, clients, and unfamiliar cities.
Correct. The objective is to preserve your best choices for work with real consequence. Everything else gets a reversible default. You are not building a rigid life. You are reserving executive capacity.
Structure first, freedom second.
Yes, and the first thing to structure is observation. For 7 days, record 7 signals: meaningful decisions, context switches, deep work minutes, resting heart rate, HRV when available, focus from 1 to 10, and perceived exertion. Perceived exertion is simple. How hard did normal work feel today?
Meaningful decisions? Not every tap on a phone?
Exactly. Count choices that require evaluation or create a downstream consequence. Choosing between 2 airline seats usually stays out of the main business metric. Deciding whether to move a board meeting, approve a budget change, or answer a sensitive client issue belongs in it. If your tracking system counts every notification, it becomes another source of decision fatigue.
I would also separate decisions made under normal conditions from decisions made after a disruption. A delayed arrival, a missing bag, or a dead laptop battery tells you more about the system than a smooth Tuesday at home.
That is useful. Mark the day as baseline, travel, or disrupted travel. Then compare the patterns. Does your context switching rise when resting heart rate is elevated? Does deep work fall after a short night? Does perceived exertion jump when meals become irregular? You are looking for relationships, not a perfect scientific conclusion. A sample entry might read 42 meaningful decisions, 19 context switches, 110 deep work minutes, resting heart rate 64, HRV available from the wearable, focus 6, perceived exertion 8. That tells you the day was expensive even if the calendar looked full and productive.
And a spreadsheet is enough. A notes app is enough. A paper card is enough.
The tool is not the system. Consistency is the system. Also, treat these measurements as performance observation, not diagnosis. If fatigue, sleep disruption, or cognitive changes are persistent or severe, speak with a qualified medical professional. A wearable can show a pattern. it cannot explain every cause.
Once you have the data, recurring choices become visible. Breakfast keeps taking 12 minutes. Finding a workspace takes 3 messages. Every arrival day begins with the same argument about when to open communication.
And those are the choices to pre-decide before departure. Not forever, just for the first 6 hours in a new place. Pick 2 acceptable meals, 1 workspace rule, 1 clothing pattern, and a communication opening time. For example, water before caffeine, a protein-forward first meal, a workspace within 10 minutes of the room, and no strategic decisions until after your readiness check.
Wait, back up. What happens when the workspace is unavailable, or the meal you planned is not there? This is where people turn a useful default into a fragile ritual.
Then, the exception path activates. 1 backup workspace, 1 alternate meal, 1 rule for a genuine escalation. That is enough. I am not asking someone to build a 20-page decision tree.
But exception rules can become another decision tree if people create too many of them.
Only if the system is overbuilt. Use bounded flexibility. Normal conditions get the primary default. A predictable disruption gets 1 backup. Safety, client needs, or local conditions over both. The point is not infinite flexibility. It is preventing a tired person from improvising every low-value choice, while also protecting the choices that genuinely matter.
That distinction works. A plan that cannot survive a delayed train is not disciplined. It is untested.
Now, connect the defaults to the work itself. Your calendar treats every hour as if it has equal cognitive value. Your physiology does not. After sleep, light exposure, hydration, and a stable meal, identify the first window in which you feel genuinely ready. Put the most expensive to reverse decisions there.
What qualifies as expensive to reverse?
Strategic commitments, difficult negotiations, hiring decisions, major architecture choices, and anything that changes a client relationship or moves a meaningful amount of money. Put those in your green lane. Yellow is for reviews, planning, client follow-ups, and collaborative work with clear boundaries. Red is for administrative cleanup, formatting, inbox triage, and tasks with a defined finish line. If your readiness is low, move down the lanes. Do not force a green task through a red state simply because it was scheduled there. Data doesn't care about your jet lag.
That applies to meetings too. If every message feels urgent, the system has no jurisdiction over your attention. Reserve live time for consequential decisions or relationships that genuinely require it. For informational meetings, request an asynchronous brief with the decision, context, and deadline.
Right. You are not trying to become unavailable. You are preventing every notification from becoming a referendum on your attention. A 2-tier meeting filter is enough for most travel days. Live when the outcome matters or the relationship requires presence. Asynchronous when the information is repeatable and the decision can wait.
And put the escalation rule in writing. If a client issue affects safety, a contractual deadline, or a material business commitment, it can interrupt the window. Everything else waits.
That is the difference between being responsive and being constantly reactive. A response window protects judgment without abandoning responsibility. The physical side has to support the digital plan. Keep a labeled hydration container, a small travel food kit, a sleep support setup you personally tolerate, and a compact reset kit in the same location each trip. The station might include water, shelf-stable food you already know works for you, an eye mask, earplugs, charging cables, and whatever recovery tools are appropriate for your situation.
Same location every time matters more than people expect. Search is a tax too.
Exactly. The question you want to eliminate is, where is the thing I need right now? If you use supplements, keep the routine conservative. Read the ingredient panel, follow the manufacturer's dosage directions, avoid unverified combinations, and consider medications, allergies, pregnancy, kidney or liver conditions, and other health factors. A qualified clinician or pharmacist can help you assess suitability. Fix the physical bottlenecks first. Do not buy a complicated stack and assume it will compensate for no sleep, no food plan, and a chaotic workspace.
That is the common operational mistake, optimizing the schedule while leaving the body unprepared. The calendar says deep work begins at 9, but the person has no hydration plan, no first meal, no light strategy, and no backup workspace. At 10:15, the plan fails, and motivation gets blamed.
Yes, the schedule is only one layer. A reliable travel protocol has a biological layer, a physical layer, and a decision layer. If any one of them is missing, the other two carry the load until they fail.
How do you know the system is working? Feeling more organized is not enough.
Compare outcomes with your baseline. Track avoidable errors, response delays, deep work minutes, decisions deferred or revisited, meaningful decisions, and context switches. Pair those with resting heart rate, HRV when available, focus, and perceived exertion. You are looking for a lower cost of execution, not a perfect score every day. For example, imagine your normal baseline is 150 deep work minutes, 10 context switches, focus 8, and perceived exertion 5. After a travel day without defaults, deep work falls to 70 minutes, context switches rise to 24, focus drops to 5, and perceived exertion reaches 8. The next week, you use the defaults and the physical station. If deep work recovers to 120 minutes while context switches fall, you have evidence that the protocol is reducing friction.
Not proof that one supplement fixed the problem.
Exactly. Change one or two variables, observe the pattern, and avoid claiming more than the data supports. If a metric worsens, revise the protocol. Defaults are reversible experiments, not identity statements.
And audit the bad days. The day the plan breaks is where you learn whether the backup actually exists.
That is why the 7-day audit should include imperfect conditions. Before each day begins, write down the 3 highest value decisions and confirm your primary and backup defaults. During the day, count meaningful decisions and context switches. At night, record deep work minutes, recovery metrics, focus, perceived exertion, and avoidable errors. On day 7, identify the 2 choices that consumed the most attention. Turn those into reversible defaults. If breakfast was repeatedly disruptive, choose 2 options in advance. If workspace selection caused repeated searching, define a primary and backup location. If messages fractured the morning, set an opening window and an escalation rule.
The trail is the truth, especially when the plan breaks.
Your objective is not fewer choices everywhere. It is better choices where the consequences are highest. Measure the budget. Convert recurring friction into bounded defaults. Match work to readiness. Prepare the physical station before you need it. Then compare your error rate and output against your baseline instead of trusting motivation. Run this audit for 7 days before your next relocation. Put the numbers somewhere you will actually review them. Build the hydration, food, recovery, and charging station before departure. And if you want a physical foundation designed for the realities of working across time zones, visit shop.nomadlifesuccess.com. Build the system before the airport, not after your judgment is already depleted. That is your high-performance blueprint for today. Remember, treat your biology like business infrastructure. If your physical stack fails, the business stops. Minimize the friction and stay optimized.